Hi everyone, welcome back to Cafecito con LALSA, the podcast from the Latin American Law Students Association through Late Night in the Library, where we share conversations about law school, leadership, and life in the legal profession. I am Natalie Solano, president of LALSA, and today we're joined by a very special guest, one of our former LALSA presidents, Kim Diaz. During her time in law school, she played a key role in building community within the organization and supporting Latina law students on campus, one of them being me. She was in moot court, child advocacy, she was an ASF for legal methods, and a research assistant. Today we'll be talking with her about her experience leading LALSA, what the bar exam process for her looked like, how she successfully passed on her first attempt, and what life looks like now working as an attorney. We'll also hear some advice she has for current law students navigating law school and preparing for the next step in their careers. So grab your cafecito, get comfortable, and join us for this conversation.
Thank you for having me, Natalie. I actually haven't done a podcast yet, even when I was in LALSA, so I'm excited to be doing this for the first time.
And we're happy to have you. So let's start with our first segment. Our first segment is going to be talking about your time as LALSA president and your experience. So my first question to you is, what inspired you to get involved in LALSA in law school?
So what inspired me to get involved with LALSA, I actually seeked out and looked to see if Widener had a LALSA before I moved here. So moving to Harrisburg was the first time I was moving away from my family so far away, even though it was 3 hours. You know, I have a very close-knit family, so I was the first one moving distance away, so I was new here and new to this area. When I went to undergrad, I at least had family in the area, but here I didn't have family, so I really was looking for ways where I can just feel more comfortable because I was nervous to make that move. So when I thought of that, I thought of in college, I was a part of a sorority where we hosted a lot of programs on campus, so I have some background with that. And then also I was looking for somewhere that had that Latino culture background because I'm so close to my family, so that would help. I know that would help me feel more like home. Mm-hmm. So putting those two things together, my aunt, who is a judge, she said that when she was in law school, I told her what I was concerned about. She told me that LALSA was a thing. So because of that, I looked into LALSA before I joined Widener.
So you were essentially looking for community.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's so funny to hear because your time here, and the podcast audience is not going to know how great of friends we are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they go here, so they might.
Yeah.
But I was searching for my community, and in meeting you, I met someone who's also Dominican. I know you're also Puerto Rican, but I met someone who I can relate to. So you were looking for that, but you also gave it to me. Yeah. So that's actually beautiful as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I was so excited when you were there. I remember when you came.
We bonded over being Dominican.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what made you actually decide to run for LALSA president?
So LALSA changed a lot from when I started, from the time period that we just talked about up until when I graduated. So when I decided to become president was my spring 2L semester, and it was when Giselle, the president before me, was leaving. And I remember being in my DA internship, and I was sitting with Magali, and she was interested in joining LALSA, so she was talking to me, and she was wondering who was going to be president next year. And I think it was, I'm not sure, I think it was somebody on the e-board then had mentioned, oh, I think it's going to be Kim, because I didn't, in that moment, I realized I was older than everyone else now that the 3Ls were leaving. So I just knew in that moment that it kind of had to be me, so I never thought about it. So I knew it had to be me if I wanted LALSA to continue, because you guys were going into your 2L semester, fall, which is hard. You have con law, evidence, and a lot of hard biz orgs or sales, whichever you try to take. I know that you guys had a lot on your plate, so I knew that if I wanted LALSA to stay, I had to step up to the plate. And I would say a lot of what made me feel better about doing that was Giselle being president before me. She at least have gave me a foundation to start from there. So I always saw her, I'm appreciative of that. But yeah.
Just for the audience to know, Giselle started and founded this podcast. She was also my president, Kim's president. And I'm glad to hear that you wanted to be president because you felt like you had to step up to the plate, because when I was a 1L, I felt that it had to be you. I mean, I literally told her, which is so funny. I said, I'm not doing this e-board thing if you're not here. So I'm really glad. And through Kim's presidency, we did a lot of first-time things. Like we did Know Your Rights immigration panel. We did a lot of panels, honestly. And through your time, I honestly learned how to lead for my next term as well. So that's honestly, Giselle showed you and then you showed me. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, what were your goals for the organization when you stepped into that role?
So when I stepped into that role, I thought about what experience I had being president prior. So I mentioned that I was in a sorority in undergrad, and I was president in undergrad at a point, vice president, treasurer, because I crossed when I was a sophomore. So I had 3 years after that. So I had a lot of experience there where we hosted a lot of programs. So I thought about that, and I was trying to think of what I can take from that experience to bring to LALSA. And from that, I thought of, I wanted to have more presence at Widener, so that was one of my goals. We had a very good, strong presence, my sorority on campus, so I wanted to have more of a presence at Widener. That meaning more programs as much as we can. We're much busier though, so I tried to think of what I can take from my undergrad experience, but we are also much more busy. So even though we're doing more programs, being more involved on campus, even if it was that one really good program, it was something that stood out, made us stand out on campus, at school. So
you did that. I mean, you certainly did that. Like, you've had a lot of programs in your time here that stood out, and it wasn't just to Know Your Rights. We did a lot of different fun things. We got teachers involved in the GLAC contest.
Our panel too.
Our panel was amazing.
I loved our panel. And it was so long too. We had to cut it because we didn't want to leave from the conversation.
Exactly. It was very beneficial. I think through these programs, people gained mentorship with those attorneys as well. So that's, I mean, a lot of things that you did were very beneficial for the Widener community.
I would say another goal of mine for when I was becoming president of LALSA, I wanted to make LALSA feel more like a community, a sense of community for us, to feel like we had a group of friends. And I noticed after we had a lot of people join our e-board when I became president, we started saying hello in the halls, for example, made me get to know people that I may not have been able to really have more conversations with, for example, 1Ls when I was a 3L. So I just wanted to make LALSA have more of a presence and to feel like more of a community on campus.
You made my job so easy because you started the group chat. We had a group chat. We didn't have a Teams group chat, or we didn't have a group me. We had a group chat, and that is something we still do, and now we're closer through your presidency. Like, I hang out with LALSA girls, we go together to barristers as a group. That's something we did last year, which was really nice. We are really tight knit now because of you,
and that's exactly what I wanted.
No, that is literally something you started. And it's just, honestly, it's amazing.
And you had mentioned that I had learned from Giselle had started it, and then I had built it from there, and then you were going to continue to build. And that's something that I always want for LALSA at Widener, because I still would love to visit Widener throughout the years. And if I come back, I really want that to continue each year.
I hope it does. Yes. I really do. So what was the most rewarding part of your presidency?
I would say the most rewarding part has to be the Know Your Rights program we did in March. It was right around this time last year. That was definitely the most rewarding part. Just that in that program, for those those listening who didn't really know about the program then. We had a great turnout. I believe we had 21 people on Zoom and 60 in person.
Yeah.
And we met so many families and got to speak to them and hear their stories. A lot of Latinos in the community in Harrisburg, we really connected with them, and that's something that I wanted to actually start, as we talked about my goals. That's something that I also wanted to reach out to start a connection between LALSA and the Latino community in Harrisburg. So it started that day, and that's something that I hope continues with LALSA.
It was great. We had Know Your Rights cards, we had an attorney, we had Professor Ramirez, who was talking about immigration policies at the time. We had shirts that we got from the Constitutional Society, right?
Everyone felt so happy when we were leaving, and I think we even grabbed food after, and we were just so ecstatic of what we accomplished that day. So that was definitely the most rewarding part.
No, you killed that. It was amazing. What was the biggest challenge you faced while being a leader?
One of the biggest challenges I faced, I would also say the Know Your Rights program as well, because it was a high stress time, and it wasn't the best, it was definitely a controversial topic during those times, so it was definitely difficult, but I know that that's something that we really wanted to do as a group, and I know it was best for our e-board, but we had to go about it in the right way. So it was challenging, but I felt like we did it in a very respectful way and professional way, and also really got the job done. So we learned a lot from that.
I remember Kim texted me like a week before the event. She said, "I can't believe we're doing this."
Wait, I'm still like that. I think I called you on the way here. Like, I can't believe I'm doing a podcast.
This year I wanted to follow in Kim's footsteps and do it, but I backed out, and not in the way because of the times right now. So it's really a hard event to put on, and it really, until this day, it does feel like I can't believe we did that. You know what I mean?
That's why I say it was the most challenging part, because it had to be in the right time, in the right way. But I think that we were successful with that.
I'm hoping that in the future, someone can definitely take it on and do it. In
some capacity.
Exactly. So the next part of our segment and the last part of this segment, I wanted to talk about advice for current law students. So what advice would you give law students who take on leadership roles in organizations like LALSA? And it doesn't have to be specifically for LALSA. I mean, you did a lot of things. You did moot court, you did trial ad. So just being a leader, a Latina leader, what advice would you give?
My advice would be 3 words. Go for it. Go for it, go for it. Even if it seems like we have no time in law school. You had mentioned everything that I did, and even each time I kept thinking, as I was building onto my schedule, was, should I do this? Everyone kept telling me, you're already stressed out, you don't really have the time, and it may seem impossible sometimes, but to go for it, because what you give is what you'll receive in return. Such as, from all my experiences, I will say I received a lot in return, such as resume building, skills, and networking, and showing you what life is like as an attorney. Even when we graduate, it's still going to be busy. I'm in a clerkship now. I'm not working as an attorney yet, but even now I'm so busy, and seeing how busy judges are, for example, being behind the scenes, you see how it doesn't get better. It doesn't get less busy. I guess you kind of just get better at handling it. So I would say go for it, because you learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I remember... So I think the reason why me and Kim are such good friends is because we both don't know how to chill. We don't have a chill pill. So we are always doing one thing and then doing the other and then doing another thing. And I think that comes from also just being a Latina. Like, our parents also have no chill. So I think that in talking to you, and I remember saying like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and then you're like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and we would always support each other through that. So that's just something kind of funny. But I do remember, you know, watching you grind and watching you stress, but I also remember watching you do it so gracefully. You were very I have to do this for moot court, I gotta do this, but you were always just like, but I have to do it.
Yeah, I think I remember saying that. It has to get done.
It has to get done.
Yeah.
But you did it also gracefully, and you build your connections with the professors, and you build your resume, and you worked through it, and you handled it, and you're handling it now in your career, and that's beautiful to see.
I like that you brought up our parents, them having no chill as well, because I always say that my work ethic comes from my parents. They are both hard workers in their career my whole life. So everyone's like, always tells me to relax, and I say I don't know how to. I don't know how to not be like this. I don't know how to not be a hard worker. And I feel like we both relate in that sense.
Yeah. And it's a Latina mindset. It's from our parents having to grind to get to a certain spot that we feel like we also have to grind to get to where we're at, and you know, to give them the world and to do everything. And we talked about that a lot in the first podcast with Andrea and Haley and Bridget, where it was all of us had different stories, and you were on the board with them too. That's why I'm bringing it up. So we all had to we all grind so much because we want to give our parents back that life, and it's just something that when you talk to every single Latina, it's the same you know story, because we are all so grateful and proud of our parents that we also are just always on that grind mode.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you have another piece of advice or anything that you want to tell any students?
So I do say go for it, but at the same time, my second advice would be to give yourself grace as well. Taking on leadership roles and even one leadership role is taking on a responsibility, and taking on multiple roles. It can be very. Sometimes you feel that you can't give your all to each role that you have. Sometimes some get more of you than others. I don't know if I'm describing it correctly.
Yeah.
So just give yourself grace if you can't be your best at everything at all times, you know? So
that's the problem with law students. We're perfectionists, and we think that we can perfect 5 different things at once, and sometimes it's honestly just really not possible.
Law school definitely taught me to give yourself grace, because it's a lot. So taking on leadership roles in law school is not like it wasn't in undergrad.
It's not. And you used to tell me that too. You used to say like, you're doing a lot, you should give yourself some grace, Natalie. Like, you should always say that to me, and I never knew what that meant up until now.
And when you're in your third year and you're able to be in those, now you're more in leadership roles, but still having the bar looming over you, you know. So
well, that's a great segue into our bar exam. And Kim passed the bar exam on her first try, and also I know, right? And also through just want to make a quick shout out, Magali, Victoria Ramirez now, and Kimberly Diaz have all passed the bar, which put us at 100% LALSA bar first time passage rate, however we want to word that. I hope that me and Emily can continue this path that we're on.
Yes, God willing.
But God willing. But my first question for you in the first part of this segment is to talk about preparation. So what did you do, and what did your bar study schedule look like?
So I didn't do the bar study schedule that I know that many people do, where they have a strict schedule where they work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, give themselves weekends off or one day off. I kind of studied every day until I felt like I needed a break. So I did get a break once or twice a week, and even on those break days I was still doing that a break meant just a few practice questions or flashcards while I also did other things. But I kind of just went until I kind of needed a break. So that was kind of my study schedule, and that was what worked for me.
So you did Monday through Sunday, and then let's say like the next week you felt that you burnt out. You stopped for that Sunday.
Yeah, I would focus more on doing laundry, meal prepping, and just doing, and then I'll do a few practice questions at night. I wouldn't open the course that day. So it'd probably be a day that I wouldn't open a course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a brain break, but you were still hitting at
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then did you work while studying? I mean, I know the answer to that, but
Yeah, no, I didn't work. I treated studying as a full-time job, and that was a blessing. So I don't know if everyone has the ability to do that, but I definitely would highly recommend it, because I definitely dedicated time to that, and it's definitely needed for bar prep.
And I don't know if you know this, but the dean has come up with a bar. I don't want to butcher this, but a bar initiative where he wants people not to work during the bar. So he's doing a stipend, and that's for students that qualify.
That's really awesome. Yeah, because that's what I started. I know that I literally have full-time job. Is treating it like a full-time job is a blessing. So I think that's awesome, because I know that not everyone has the ability to do that, but it is so necessary.
And even if you didn't work, you began to work right after, so you can talk about
2
that a
weeks
little bit.
after, yes.
So you were still. I mean, this girl had no break during spring semester. She was a leader of this, leader of that. She jumped straight into the bar. She passed it. She smashed it, and then right after 2 weeks, then you literally just went into work.
And then I moved back home during that time period.
You also moved. You got your life started, so that's amazing.
Yeah, so it definitely is high. It was definitely a lot going on during that time.
You're a go-getter.
Yeah.
That's all. So what bar prep program did you use, and how did you structure your study gaps or your study days?
So I used Themis. I was a student rep for Themis in undergrad, and I'm actually very glad that I did Themis. I felt like I honestly have no complaints. I felt it was a great course, and the questions, I felt very well prepared by the time I got to the bar exam. So I did Themis, and my day-to-day, I think you asked, right? I would start my day, do the course in the morning, so that would be the lectures for majority of the morning. I would have lunch, and every day was the same. So the course, I'd have lunch, then I would go to the gym, or vice versa if I was hungry or not. So lunch and gym. Then I would do whatever practice questions or essays the course told me to do. So I was definitely relying on the course a lot. And then I would eat dinner and make sure I watched TV every time I was eating, because that was kind of like my break. And then I would do practice questions on New World at the end of the day.
So did you feel like, because you talked about your day-to-day was kind of the same, did you feel like you needed that structure, like it had to be that way?
Yes, and I felt like it was so good for me. I actually feel like that's what helped me pass. I know that's what you wanted to talk about next. What helped me pass was that structure. I made sure that I was getting my breaks in. I was making sure that I was getting, I was getting that brain break as well. Moving my body as well when I would go to the gym. So that structure really did help me a lot.
And do you feel like there's anything else that helped you pass, since that is what we were going to move into?
I would say yes. So for the structure helped me pass, I would say practice questions every day is I can't stress that enough.
You've said this to me.
Yes,
50
and
times.
I'm going to stress that to you every day until the bar. I feel once it clicked to me that practice questions, because you're just hitting the material again and again, and then seeing how questions can be asked, and also timing is something that I didn't focus a lot in law school. I would kind of just try my best to beat the clock. I know that wasn't good, but you really have to learn how to do that for the bar exam. So I feel like practice questions every single day was, honestly, I recommend that to everybody.
To everybody, okay. And were there any moments where you felt like you weren't prepared enough?
So I was gonna say that I was thinking the last 2 weeks of the bar exam, it helped me. I feel like it helped me pass, because I reached the 75% or 73% that Themis says that if you reach that. So I reached that point in those last 2 weeks. I totally focused on memorizing. So throughout every single day, I was just memorizing, and then I would do practice questions on New World or practice essay every single night. So those last 2 weeks were when I felt like I knew nothing. I felt like nothing was sticking in my head, but it really is. It's because you're kind of getting burnt out at that point. So
Okay, yeah. And I bet
it's a
like
long process.
oh yeah, you were hitting it hard every single day, single day, and then those last 2 weeks, you're so burnt out by that point. You feel like, you know, do I know anything? I have to memorize everything. I have to get everything in my head for 2 weeks, and then this exam is gonna come, and whatever I do when I sit down in front of that paper, that is what it is.
Yeah. I would say I actually thought of something else about what I felt helped me pass. I'm sorry, I know we kind of jumped around. But one thing that I do want to stress that I felt helped me pass was reaching out to professors at Widener.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I decided to stay in Pennsylvania during the summer, even though the summertime is something that's big in my family because we have barbecues every weekend and family events and beach trips, vacations. I decided to miss out on all of that and stay in Harrisburg, and because I was able to utilize my resources here, and I would do practice essays and have professors here review them. Professor Lee, the absolute best, he would look at any essay I asked him. He was great. So yeah, I wanted to mention that the professors here at Widener were very helpful during that time.
Wow, that's amazing. Professor Lee is very helpful.
He's the best.
So how did you manage your stress then during those last few weeks and even throughout the whole process? I mean, you just mentioned you had to miss barbecues with your family, and I know that it's a grind, and I know that you have to, but you must have felt so left out and alone during that time, and such a stressful time.
I definitely did. I remember they were sending videos back to back, and I think I remember there was times where I was showing you the videos too. Yeah. They would send me a lot of videos, and I would feel alone. But the way that I would manage to stress was the gym. That was straight number one. The gym and eating healthy really helped me, I guess, feed my mind. Yeah, while it was going through, I guess you were working out your mind every single day. Someone told me that. So that helped me, I guess, push. And then also I would do things, since you're staying in the house every day, I would keep the windows open every time. Every morning I would open all the windows and the balcony to get some air flowing.
Some sunlight.
Yes, I would sit on the balcony. I would get sun. I make sure I called my mom on my breaks, and I made sure when I was eating, I would watch TV. So stuff like that, just taking care of yourself when you can is what helped me manage the stress.
It sounds like you had to give up your summer, of course, but it also sounds like you did the little things that you like, watching TV while you ate. You still went to the gym, which probably got some frustration out, some stress out. It sounds like you tried to manage while you were working your brain. You also tried to turn it off in little ways. So that's good. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned those little things, such as keeping my windows open, because those little things go a long way during that time period.
I remember, and the bar and studying for finals are certainly not the same thing, but I remember when I was studying for sales with Professor Meadows, everyone's like so terrified of that class. But when I was studying for sales, I had to go and like walks periodically because I was losing my mind studying for the exam. So it sounds like not the same thing, because it's not, but it sounds like you needed to take those little breaks.
That's what finals and stuff supposed to show you. You learn little ways to manage your stress till you get to the real big test, I guess.
Right. So, and I guess this is a perfect segue to asking you, what are the top 3 things you would tell current 3Ls about prepping for the bar?
Top 3 things I would say is to start early, but don't lose focus on finals. So what I mean by start early is not going hard at the beginning, because you're going to burn out by the time you get to the exam in August. That requires a lot of stamina to get through. So I would say start early to get through some of the lectures and start some practice questions when you can, and I would say maybe around April. This is what I would have done if I were to restart, because I started after finals. I wish I would have started a little more, because if I could have maybe taken a little more breaks during those weeks. So starting early kind of gives you when you want to take a break in May or June, you kind of have that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So start early, but don't lose focus on finals, because that is also still very important.
Yeah.
So
I want to mention something funny. I go on Kim's like very hard on me. She doesn't play with me. So I called her the other day and I said, like how early, like we need to sit down, we need to do a bar schedule. And the first thing she says to me is, don't get a D in a class. She's like, just don't even get a D. Pass your finals. Worry about that.
Yeah, because I was saying, you just got to pass. And then I caught myself and I'm like, but no D's. Like,
Yes,
it has to be a balance.
Advice.
Yeah, it has to be a balance. So
I think when you're a 3L, all you think about is the bar. You think about the application, you think about this, and you think about that. And it's like, you still have to get through finals.
Right.
So with that being said, what is your second tip?
My second tip would be to prepare to spend your summer focusing 100% on the bar. And what I mean by that is my spring semester, I started focusing on myself then. I started to go to the gym and eat healthy then, so that it'd be a habit by the time I started bar prep. I made sure that I saw my family because I knew that I wasn't going to. I was home probably every weekend spring semester. I said yes to plans as much as I could. I did a lot of things in Harrisburg. For example, that semester I went line dancing, I went to the farm show. I just made sure that I could do everything I could because I knew that I wasn't going to do much that summer. But yeah, that's what I would say. Prepare to do nothing this summer, during the summer.
Prepare to do nothing.
Besides focus on the bar exam.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But I would say my third advice would be to take advantage of every opportunity. Go to every bar booster, boot camps. Bar prep is all about repetition. So take advantage of every opportunity because you just want to keep seeing things, rules over and over again. And also you want to practice as much as you can too. So see as many questions as you can so that you can see something similar when you're on the bar exam. So take advantage of every opportunity.
I guess for those who don't know, watching this podcast, our dean has come up with a bar boot camp, and that is every Friday of April after Easter, where we sit for about 4 hours and do the boot camp. And I don't know, I'm not there yet, so I don't know if it's different subjects or whatever the case is.
It is different subjects, and we were the first class to do it, and I liked it because we were touching on topics that we haven't seen before. So by the time we got to our bar prep course, you want to see as much material as you can, and you're going to keep seeing them. So by the time I saw it in the course, I remember hearing it in bar boot camp. It wasn't me starting over again when I started bar prep. So I did enjoy the bar boot camps for that reasons.
Right. Oh, that's really helpful, Kim. Those are amazing tips. I wanted to ask you before we move on to our last segment, what do you think students focus too much on during bar prep, and what don't they focus too much on?
I would say people focus a lot on, I would say, what other people are doing during bar prep. It is a very individualized experience. We all kind of have to do what we can to kind of get the material to stick in our head and what works best for us. So you kind of can get advice on what other people are doing, but everyone's schedule and everyone's method is all going to look different. So I would say people kind of focus a lot on what other people do to get there. But I would say to focus more on what works best for you.
I was on the phone with my fiance the other day, and I told him that Kim was going to come do this podcast. And he goes, Kim passed the bar, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, she was like a ghost. Like, what did she even do?
Yeah.
And I'm bringing that up because you talked about, everyone has to worry about themselves, and you really did. Like, you isolated.
Yeah, it was after my graduation party. You and Kim came, and as soon as after my graduation party, no one saw me until... So we were talking about my graduation party in August because I never spoke to anyone about it the day after. I completely disappeared the next day.
Oh, yeah. No, I called you in August to debrief your graduation
everyone
party.
was debriefing in August because I just disappeared on everyone.
And your graduation party happened in May, right?
In May,
yeah.
yes.
So, yeah. Wow, that's wow. And so you felt, and you studied by yourself, you isolated, you were in your house. I remember I sent Kim food one time because I just felt like, where is
Yes,
she?
which I'm so grateful for. Yes, I would say if you're listening to this and know a friend who is starting the bar prep exam soon, just being a support as in any way that you can, even sending me food that day. Just you don't know how it goes a long way for people during that time.
And I feel like it's easier for us that we're in each other's position and we know what law school is like and how hard it is. And I watched you stress all 3 years, and I was just like, if I can just give her food or something, like I will. Something.
I was so grateful.
Yeah. No, I know. So the last thing I want to talk to you about in our last segment is, I know you said you're not really practicing as an attorney right now, but you're a clerk, and I just wanted to talk to you about life as a clerk, as an attorney, so I guess life after the bar. As colorful and beautiful as that sound, I know that it's not as easy, and it's a new thing that you have to do. So focusing on the transition from law school to practice, how has your identity as a Latina shaped your experience in the legal profession?
I would say it has shaped my experience because there's not as many of us. It's definitely started when I was here. There's not as many Latina law students at Widener. There's not as many in the field. So it has made me be wear it, I guess. For example, my Latina lawyer sweater you gave me, I wear it with so much pride. So I feel like it shaped my experience because I love being that representation.
Yeah, of course. And there isn't that many of us, and I feel like every time we've had a panel here, the lawyers have always said that. They have talked about how they have experience walking into court and maybe being the only Latino, or they've had experience with people not even knowing that they were a lawyer because of the way that they look, or different things like that. So yeah, there isn't that many of us, and but we're here to make that change.
Yes.
So
Yes, and I will say that it also shaped my experience because when you do find that person, you really do connect with them in such a different way. That's why we connect so well, just because we just share so much in common, are able to relate in a lot of ways, and that's what has brought us closer. And I've noticed that where I work, it's actually one of the most diverse counties in New Jersey, so I have connected with a lot of Latino attorneys, Latina attorneys, and we just connect, and you feel like that sense of
you're lucky.
Community. Yes, definitely. I know that I'm very fortunate in that because that's not everywhere.
Right, it's not common, and I'm very happy that you found a place where there is people like you, and you're all thriving and going through this profession together. That's actually so
But
important.
I know that that's not everywhere. I know that I'm very fortunate for that. From where I live, it's a very big Hispanic community in Hudson County. So so I know that I'm very fortunate for that because I know it's not everywhere.
That's great. And did your involvement in LALSA influence how you approach your work now?
I would say the first thing I think of is where we talked about the Know Your Rights program. That has that involvement. That specifically is what I think of that has shaped how I approach certain things in my work today. I say that because as we talked about the difficult and high stress time and it being not a very popular topic at the time, we did it in the most respectful way, and this is how it is as an attorney, to have that strength and have those tough conversations, but going about it in the right way. So
that is very true. And you also, as we touched on earlier, juggling all those different things probably helped you in your profession as well, because you're obviously just not doing one thing. You're handling more than different things. You're handling different people, different cases, different things. So that's amazing. What advice, and this is my last question to you of this segment before we move on to our closing, but what advice would you give to Latina law students entering the profession?
My advice would be to connect. Connect, as we've just finished saying, how beautiful it is as an attorney, but even start in law school, or if we think of the first question we started with today, and how I reached out to LALSA and connected. Just, I would say to make those connections because they're beautiful.
Yeah. And just a few closing questions for Kim, and I also want everyone in the audience to hear how inspiring you are to me, and to a lot of Latina lawyers. This is part of the reason why I wanted to invite you here, because I wanted people to see, you know, not just what a great person you are, but how inspiring you are as a Latina who's in the profession.
I appreciate
So, you and your thank yous. What advice, and I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I really want to hone in on what advice would you give current law students who are feeling overwhelmed as of right now?
The advice I would say is to breathe and to just take a moment and to take care of yourself, because that's something that I wish I would have done more in law school. And you can't be your best self. You can't show up and be your best if you aren't at your best. So I wish I would have taken more time, even though I've accomplished a lot in law school and a lot that I wanted to, and I have no regrets. I could only imagine what I could have done if I was taking care of myself, you know? So I would say, if you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, take care of yourself, because you can't do everything if you aren't your best, at your best. Yeah.
So if you could go back to your 1L self, and I was, I'm Kim and I'm sitting right in front of you, what would you want to say to yourself?
I would tell myself, you can do it. I would tell myself, you can do it. 1L first semester, the reason why 1L is so stressful is because a lot of it, well, for a lot of reasons, but a big reason is the unknown. And I wish I could tell myself that you can do it, because I definitely surprised myself a lot in law school. And I feel like I kind of held myself back sometimes because I didn't think that I could. So I just, throughout law school, that taught me, law school taught me how much I could do. So I wish I would have knew that my first semester. I definitely just surprised myself. Yeah, throughout law school.
I remember studying through finals, and I said to you, I was like, I don't even know how I could do this. And you were just like, you're going to be so surprised how much you could do, how fast you could write a paper.
And when it comes to bar prep too, I know that you're scared, and even I was scared. It feels like you can't do it. Even do bar prep, you feel that way. So I felt that way first semester, and I still felt that way in a sense during bar prep. But you're gonna surprise yourself with how much you learn when it comes to August.
And on that note, everyone, I hope that you enjoyed Kim, and we just, LALSA, on behalf of LALSA, we just want to say thank you so much. Me, on behalf of myself, I want to say you've been a mentor, you've been a great leader, you've been a great part of my life outside of law school and making me comfortable here at Widener. And I just want to, I love you. I just want to say thank you for coming here, even, it's a Friday and you work. So thank you. And I hope that you all were inspired to watch Kim, and that you all grabbed your cafecito, your coffee, and had a great time.
Yes, thank you for listening, and thank you for having me.
Of course.